Light was right and everyone else was wrong.
Oh, so this is what you meant by you have a different
Light was
opinion.
justified with everything he did, and he was the best character in the series.
Oh, well, I will fight you on that, Mr. McNulty.
I didn't like L or whatever. What's his name's L, right? I didn't like him.
How can you forget the name of someone whose name is literally one letter?
I haven't watched the anime in like
His name
3
is
years.
actually Lolly. Spoiler alert! After
But doesn't he still
8
have like an
years?
L in his name?
Yeah,
or something?
Lolly.
He goes by L.
Lawliet.
Okay. Well, whatever.
That
Hello,
tennis match?
and welcome to Cels episode 49. I'm your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Clara Heimberger,
It's so cold outside. Kill me.
Kenneth McNulty.
I amputated my feet.
Yes, it's a very chilly Thursday here in Athens, Ohio.
That is an understatement, sir.
But we are here anyways. You know, we come rain or sunshine. We come here for
It's not
Fred
doing
Cels.
either. It's nighttime and cold, Alex.
You get the point. We come whether it's bad or good. We come. That's the point.
Fun fact, Alex wants us to die and calls us on nights where we should be, inside and not walking outside.
Yes, because I planned this. That today would
You
be
already
really
killed 2
chilly.
of our members. There's only 3 of us. Jeremy died outside. We had to build him a makeshift grave. Sorry, Jeremy.
He was supposed to be on this podcast, actually,
He'll live on
but
forever.
now he's just sick at home
And
apparently.
dead. Because you killed him.
And dead. So for those of you who are a little bit confused right now, you'd be interested to hear that we are part of Tech Heads, which is part of ABW Productions, a media production organization here at Ohio University. We here at Tech Heads do all sorts of cool things with the video games, movies, music, anime, podcasts, all sorts of cool stuff. We're here today to talk about Death Note, as you can tell. Well, thank you. I can do the fast talking when I have to. Death Note, which is a 2006 anime done by Studio Madhouse.
Oh my god, that's 8 years ago.
I know, it feels so old.
Oh my god.
Yeah?
I was 13 when I started watching it.
Well, before we get into that, though, we should go over animation we've watched since last time. Kenny, you weren't on last week's podcast, so anything you watched over the break. I know you watched one in particular over the break.
Attack on Titan is the best show in the world.
Hell yes.
I told you.
It is so good. Dude, seriously, though. That diggers me. I can't. There's so many things I want to say about it. I was going to say it's really good. Watch it. If you haven't, I'll fight you.
And then when you're done, watch The Abridged.
It's so good.
It is pretty good.
I want a next episode. I've already memorized the first one completely. I need more material.
More material.
All
All right. What else would you say? What other animation did you watch?
Did I watch anything else? I watched Attack on Titan.
Okay. Got that one.
I didn't watch any other animation things. I saw Frozen, if that counts.
It's so good.
It is so
It's
good.
a really good movie.
It's good to beat The Wind Rises, but I'm kind of okay with that. Frozen, I think Frozen kind of deserves it.
It's got some good music, good animation.
Really good music.
There's ice.
I posted a video on Facebook yesterday. Disney released this video of Let It Go sung in like 25 different languages.
I saw that.
It was badass.
It sounds awesome.
I know.
Language.
How about that?
And then, in case you haven't known, this is not animated, but the best show in the world, Sherlock. You should watch it. Season finale was awesome. And that's all I watched.
My sisters really like that show, so.
And Doctor Who, #5EVA.
And they're into Doctor Who too.
That's
so
all I've watched.
You should
So
talk
either
to
way.
them sometime. All right. Well, as for myself, just keeping up with some of the, shows I've been watching. Kill la Kill had a really good episode. Samurai Flamenco went really dark in the most recent episode, so that was kind of interesting actually, because I kind of like it when it goes dramatic. Golden Time had a good episode. Kill la Kill, also another good episode. More absolute insanity with them traveling to like these 3 other schools to conquer them. All that's good. One of the new shows I'm really excited about, Nobunaga the Fool, is getting very like it. Episode 1, I was getting Gurren Lagann vibes, but episode 3, like it's already pretty epic. I'm really, really digging
Are there
that show.
drills?
There are drills. There was a Gurren Lagann reference in recent Samurai Flamenco where he had a drill on a robot.
Did he pierce the heavens?
He did pierce the heavens, but he
Oh.
did pierce his enemy.
Did he talk about the lights in the sky?
No.
Oh, they're stars.
Okay, I'm taking an
heard.
astronomy class, and today the professor was like, we're going to find out what the lights in the sky are. And I'm like, stars.
They're stars.
And then I just curled up and cried.
Man, yeah. So it seems like every time we bring up Gurren Lagann, Clara just curls up.
I
basically.
could not.
Because it's the best anime
I
ever.
couldn't. I can't. I just can't.
It becomes the universe.
It actually, I've never had something break me so much.
One Piece broke me today.
Oh my god.
What did One Piece?
We're not going
Oh, I
to talk
watched One Piece
about that.
That the 3-headed judge guy was 3 people.
Oh.
Spoiler, but it wasn't a 3-headed man.
It's not
Sorry.
even manga canon.
had
It's
to lay
so dumb.
Actually, no, he is manga canon.
No, he's not.
Are you?
No, I can confirm Mark and Jeremy. Jeremy definitely confirmed it, and he'll fight you if you say it wrong.
Okay,
He'll fight everyone.
I might double check on that because I've only seen the manga and I can swear I remember that character.
You're lying.
But whatever,
Oh.
I will research that. So yeah, just been keeping up with things. Nothing that amazing for me. Clara.
One Piece today I watched with Kenny and Mark and Amy and Eugene, and Robin is my favorite, and her backstory hurt my heart and hurt my emotions.
Robin and
Nothing
Chopper
but sad.
both have really sad backstories.
Although
sure.
I didn't feel so bad when the people on the ship got blown up, because
Yeah, they got
were
ate.
actually the worst.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I don't care.
See,
They
you're
deserved
you
it.
deserve to be shot and exploded.
Yeah.
exploded.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little girl go on the ship.
Then Aokiji, like, seeing him in, like, the past after seeing him, like, in recent things, I'm like, you were bad once.
Oh,
Aokiji's awesome.
what did you think of, without spoiling anything, the recent Naruto chapter?
We're not going to talk about that, actually.
Is Aokiji in it?
No.
No, but something-
everyone's dying.
Yeah, something very dark
Important
happened
characters?
in it.
Very dark.
Yeah.
Like important characters?
Yes.
Yes, like important
Everyone
characters.
is, like, literally
Kakashi's okay, right?
Kakashi's okay right
Okay,
now.
I'm okay then.
I know, right?
That's the only
He's
one I
already
care
died
about.
once. That's not a spoiler. It's been like, what, 2 years? But
Yeah.
It's been more than 2 years,
oh, it's
actually.
been a very long time. But no, Kakashi is okay. What else?
Hinata did do something in this most recent chapter, so you had to like that.
She fell down. I was so upset. I'm like, we've gotten past this, dear. Please just stand up and go. Please stop falling.
Come on, honey, you can do this.
You can do this. I believe in you. You're my OTP, please.
OTP for life.
No, Naruhito's the one thing I've shipped since, like 8th grade. So, I mean, 7th grade, actually. 7th grade when I first started. Oh my God, it was 7th grade. But, anyways.
So basically, this is the ship that you're going to like carry to your grave, you know?
Yeah.
It's a good ship. It ships
it's
itself.
great. It started to, and then Sakura's like, oh, hey. And I'm like, get out of here.
I don't know if it ships itself, but
It's trying
it is
really
a-
hard to ship itself right now.
Wait, does
It's-
Sakura
it's a
actually like him
legitimate
now?
ship.
No, but he keeps
okay.
making references that
Well.
she's his girlfriend. And I was like, not in front of your dad, you idiot.
You idiot.
But,
Well, it wasn't the dad who like called Sakura his girlfriend,
so
and he was
who's
like,
this, your girlfriend?
wait,
He's
wait,
like,
wait,
well, I guess. And I'm like,
Naruto's dad?
"Yeah,
Yeah.
meets his dad?
hey, talking to your microphone."
I am sideways. He
Well.
meets his dad. His dad's so cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Edo
It's-
Tensei.
It's pretty cool. But,
Anyways, off Naruto.
what else did I watch? I watched Frozen and with Kenny. It was pretty good.
It was awesome.
Was that the first time you'd seen it?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it either.
It was. I saw it like when it came out. It's
We're gonna
I'm
brag
really
about
bad
it.
at going
so
to movie
good.
theaters.
Same.
Like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go and watch this movie, and then it never happens unless like got like a group of people to go with me.
fun fact that I read on like Tumblr or something yesterday. Did you know that there's a gay character in it, and it's just sort
Yeah.
of like there, and it just passes you by?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
It was a guy in the hot springs. His family is
Yeah.
2 guys and a bunch of kids. Yoo-hoo.
That's awesome.
yeah. I didn't even realize it. But I was like, oh, hey, that's cool.
I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's cute. But anyways, so moving on from the animation we've watched since last time, we'll move on to the main topic for this week, which is Death Note.
Is it?
I know, right? I haven't already mentioned that like 3 times at this point.
Light was right.
Okay. I will say for me, as far as how I got into Death Note, I actually read the manga first and then saw the anime.
I
So
don't remember. It was so long.
so have you actually read like the manga as well?
I've read most of it, but I definitely watched all the anime. And then
Okay.
I saw the second live action movie.
See, I haven't seen any of the live action movies.
It wasn't
either.
that bad. I mean, it does like a whole alternate universe type of deal where it's like, oh, this sort of happens the same way as the anime, but it's a little bit different because they're like, hey, we actually know you're Kira, and I wrote my own name in the Death Note. LOL.
Okay.
Peace.
What about
Spoilers, but not.
what about you, Kenny? What was your exposure to Death Note originally?
When I was a wee child, I saw it on like Toonami or something. I sure I saw it in a show. And I was like, cool, and I watched it every week more or less, and kept up with it. And I missed like a good 20% of it in the middle, then saw the ending.
So did you ever see the middle?
Well, I mean, I saw all the way up to like, oh god, where's the last? They were handcuffed to each other in like an apartment, and then I saw Nier for a while, and he was a real butt.
Yeah.
And then spoilers, Kira got shot a lot. I was really mad. That's why I stopped watching. That's why I was mad. I was like, no, screw this show. It didn't end like I wanted, so then I stopped watching it, and I haven't watched it since.
That's the best ending. Okay, so big surprise to all our Shred Cells users. Kenny has not seen a show in its entirety.
I saw Madoka, and I've seen most of Dragon Ball Z,
Right,
the best
but
show in the world.
Remember Fate
I've
Zero, though?
read-
I finished that.
Eventually, not for the
I
podcast.
finished all of Attack on Titan.
Way
show's so
out
good.
weeks later.
But no, hold on.
But dates.
I do know the alternate ending to Death Note, though.
The alter. Oh, right.
I
You
told
were
you
telling
the one.
me
yeah,
about
my friend
that.
watched it. I mean, you can look it up. It's real. I'll share it at the end. But the alternate ending, I like much
Well,
better.
see, I don't. I looked that up because I was curious about what you were talking about. You're talking about an ending where basically Light wins. There is no official manga.
No, it's not official. My friend said like they just drew it and said this is how it could have ended too.
Okay.
They didn't say it was official. They just said this is something that could have happened. We thought about it.
Well, but not the original creator though. Someone else.
No, I thought it was the original creator. That's what my friend said.
Well, it definitely wasn't the original creator because I looked it up. There's a one-shot manga that is set after the ending of the TV show, and it's a thing where like a new Kira shows up who's killing like old people, like sort of like a euthanasia thing, like old people who want to die, like he's killing them, and like Nier, it's a whole debate with Nier about like whether he should take the case or not because L only took cases he was like interested in.
Yeah,
so there's a whole little manga chapter about that, but there's no chapter with.
I didn't say it was a chapter. It was literally
Light.
just like a hand-drawn thing of like animation. That's what my friend said.
Okay, that might be something from the anime then, like an extra.
No, I said anime, not the manga.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
he's just saying like, yeah, I'll check it. He just told me that, so I'll just tell you what he told me at the end
Okay.
because that's the ending. Anyways,
Fair enough. All right.
look it up.
We already spoiled the ending at this point.
he's
but-
dead.
It's been 8 years. We're
Yeah, there's no
spoiling
excuse.
Nothing.
Well, we talked about Castle of Cagliostro, which is what, like 40 years old, like it's from the 70s.
It's perfect.
Well, see, the thing is, I thought we were supposed to spoil on the podcast.
Well, basically we are like a spoiler cast. Like we just talk about our opinions of spoilers. That's basically what we do.
Well.
Anyways, so I figure we might as well start our conversation with the first episode, as we should, because personally, I think this is one of like, I wouldn't say maybe the best like first episode in any anime ever, but it's a pretty damn good first episode. Like just basically, Death Note or notebook that can kill people gets dropped into the real world.
Of course.
And bored honor student picks it up. What happens? And
Mass murder. Duh.
the obvious question.
In a good
answer.
way.
Yes. Kenny, why are you looking at your phone there?
ending thing. Hold
Oh, okay. You're doing
found it.
research. Okay.
I found it.
You found it. Hey,
I
babe.
don't know if it's real or fake.
Yeah, that's the
Lack
thing.
of evidence to prove it's real.
All right, but
Continue.
I personally, I just really like this episode. Although for those who say that Light is a good person, doing the right thing, because
He
there
starts
are.
off doing the good thing.
Well, let's see. I don't even buy that because remember, even in the first episode, he's talking about how he's gonna kill all these criminals, and he's like, "And I will become the god of this new world."
That was a little creepy, I admit it.
Yeah,
Ambition.
he's pretty messed up even from the very beginning. So,
Yeah.
Here we go. Yep, this is what I was talking about. So it's up for fans to decide if it's real or not, because there's no confirmation whether it's backed up or not, just in manga form. But I do have the alternate ending that possibly could be real or not. Sorry.
Okay.
Continue.
We looked it up. All right. So I don't know. Well, why don't you explain your opinion then, Kenny? Why do you think Light is good?
Well, in the beginning, he did get a little insane, I admit it. But the reason I felt he was justified, just like the show is kind of supposed to make you feel, is he's killing bad people, like criminals, people that like cops couldn't touch. Now, while I myself don't excuse my language, condone killing in any source, if somebody else does it, whoops, it's on them. But if he decides to kill criminals and make sure they're dead, not hurting the world anymore, then the only repercussion is, oh, there's less bad people. But then, the whole time, when do you stop the killing? I know that's the whole balance, but I see what he's doing, and it's a noble cause, which is why I support it.
Yeah, it's sort of the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Exactly.
Sort of
So,
story.
it's the exact kind of thing. But then he does kind of go off the deep end.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty telling. Like, as soon as he gets to the mindset where it's like, well, I'm going to kill criminals, so anyone who tries to stop me from doing what's right, I'm going to kill them too.
Yeah, see, that's when I kind of veered off, like, dude, you're getting a little
So
insane.
basically, you thought he was good until the second episode.
Yeah, but still I can stick with that, right?
The thing though, you have to give him credit because he was very calculating. Like,
Oh, he's a genius. There's
the
no
whole
question
pa-
about that.
Well, the whole part that just when I was watching it in like 8th grade or whenever I was watching it was definitely in middle school. I was watching this. I watched like it all in like a week. It was great. No, when I got to like episode 25 was when Elle dies. I just cried for like 2 hours and just laid on my floor. It was great. But
It was great.
no, it was the worst moment in my life. Anyways, so like when he was like having the whole amnesia bit, and well, not amnesia, but literally having his memory wiped, he had planned literally everything, putting the piece in his watch, making sure that Misa would get the notebook, having Ryuk do all this stuff, and I'm like, geez, you are proactive. You have done things that no one else honestly thought of, and you need to stop.
See, I'm not sure if in his whole plan, though, he planned for Misa to get the notebook, because that was just something that she got from.
No, I mean
what's
like
his
later
name?
on. Like she had her death
right,
note
she
at
does
one
get
point,
his.
and then she gave up her memory, and then that was happening. So then he had that book, and so he hid it in the woods and told Misa to go get it. So when she touched it, she remembered everything. And then Rem was like, "Yo, I'm back."
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, my girl." So
Yeah, sorry. I was talking about when Rem touches the notebook to Misa when she's in the building of the TV company, or not the TV company, but the evil corporation. You know, there's a whole bit where she like Rem talks to her, is like, you know, the person I'm standing behind is the new Kira. You know, so Misa actually helps him out, you know, figures out the whole, like, the truth about the Death Notes before he does. Right. So I don't think that was in his plans, but it's worked to his advantage.
Yeah, I felt really bad for her because she cleaved, like, her life, and, like, she only lives to, like, 25, right?
Yeah, she killed herself.
Yeah. I think it's implied by the ending with her walking on the building that.
Well, I mean, but still, the fact that she cut up so much of her life to see everybody's death dates and everything.
I know, but like, I don't know if I would ever be able to do that. Like, I don't want to live a really long time, but I'm not going to cut my life in half.
I know.
Doesn't she do it like twice?
Yeah, that's why she only lived to like 25. That's what was going to.
Right. Well, I don't know. It would be interesting to hear your opinion on this, Claire, because I have heard some people, you know, sort of attack the writer of Death Note for being a bit sexist. Because, well, you do have some strong female characters that come to mind, like Naomi Misora, you know, the wife of Ray Penber, who almost figures out, you know, the truth about Kira before, like, kills her.
That part actually made me really upset.
It's supposed to. I mean, he's such a prick.
Like, he did
I love him.
so much to find out her name, just to be like, yeah, you can't get away. And then she's like, oh, I have to go die now. And he's like, good.
Yeah, because when he like, after he, like, as he writes her name, you know, he's looking at his watch, and she's like, well, why do you keep looking at your watch? He's like, well, you know, clicks to 40 seconds, because I'm Kira. You know, you see that sort of look come over her face, and then he keeps, like, saying, oh, don't you want to go to the task force? She's like, no, I have to go, you know, in her Death Note controlled ways, going off to kill herself or whatever. He's just, like, taunting her. It's like, oh,
it's like,
God damn it.
That, and then, like, other reporter lady who, like was sort of kind of seeing, but not just using her. You
mean Takeda?
Yeah, whatever her name is. And I didn't like her all that much. I thought she was kind of weak.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, so you have Misora, Naomi Misora, and the girl who's on the FBI task force with Nier. Like, those are two, like, good female characters I can think of, like, strong-willed female characters.
I love Misa.
But then you have,
so cute.
So you like Misa?
I love Misa
because Misa and Takeda basically both get completely manipulated by Light.
They do, but at the same time, like, she's not powerless. She's doing it because he has done something very nice for her, so she wants to help in return. The fact that she's gone through all this to hide herself, she's not an idiot. Like, she had those tapes sent in, no way to trace them back to her.
Well, except that they find the hair.
Well, right, but then she exposes herself to Light, and so, I mean, she did it all herself, so it's not like she was ever manipulated to, like, expose herself. She did it because she wanted to. And, like, I get that Light's a horrible human being to be in love with, but at the same time, like, everything she did, even when she was with that creepy guy and trying to trick him into saying he was Kira and, like, all that stuff, so she finds that out. That was using her female powers, and she's like, oh, you like me? Oh, tell me that you're Kira. He's like, I'm Kira. She's like, thanks, I totally recorded you. But that guy was sleazy. I don't like him at all.
Oh, Higuchi, that's his name.
I don't care.
Capital One at that.
Yeah.
He was pretty gross.
He was pretty gross, but yeah, I don't know. I do sort of like Misa she's got like a combination of smarts but later a lot of times she acts really stupid.
Yeah.
But at least she's just genuinely in love with Light. Like, that's basically like the reason behind everything she does. So at least I can sympathize with her that way. Takeda is just sort of more like, she likes Light, but she's a bit more cold-hearted and harder to sympathize with, I feel like.
The way she died was just stupid.
Oh, what you mean with how Light ended up killing her?
Yeah, and then, like, she's like, I'm gonna have this little piece and I'm gonna kill Mello. Oh, never mind, I'm dying too. And I'm like, good job.
Well, that's, once again, it's because Light manipulated her.
I know, but it's just, I remember watching it and I was like, this is dumb.
Light manipulation.
Okay, because one thing I never understood is I get that Matt and Mello are a huge ship, and I get that. I understand. But literally, Matt's around for, 2 episodes, and he's, like, everyone's favorite character. And I, like...
Really?
Right, he shows up.
He does nothing.
I know. No, he is gigantic. Like, in my older going online to look at things days when I was really into Death Note and really popular anime that was pretty mainstream. Now I don't do that because I'm a stupid hipster. But,
anime hipster.
It's embarrassing. But, like... My friends and I would do a bunch of, like, Death Note stuff, and my friend cosplayed as Matt. But then, like, as I looked back and saw it, I'm like, you're around for, like, 1 episode, you're in the background, and then you get shot a lot. And that's all you do. You are there with Mello once and did a thing, and then you taunted the Japanese about their guns and got shot. Good
he got
job.
shot.
Why are you popular?
Yeah, I didn't know that about the Death Note community. I really don't get that because he
Oh, it's
literally does
ridiculous.
nothing. We know nothing about him.
But
you
look
know?
how cool he looks.
Oh,
I mean, I think it's honestly just the way he looks. The striped
Yeah.
shirt and the hoodie and
I don't know.
The glasses.
and the glasses.
I kind of
Sold me.
I
And
don't know.
then Mello's leather going on. I'm pretty sure that has something else to do with it. But
Yeah, I don't know. Mello, of all the character designs of the show, I've always kind of hated Mello's look. Like he just looks like some like androgynous emo like wannabe kid. I don't know.
it's all leather, man.
Oh, leather man, that makes you look cool, right?
Yeah.
It does.
He always bites the same corner of the chocolate. So, I mean, it's not even like he has a different chocolate. It's just one bite, and then he just, like, puts it away and gets another one.
Gross. You can't just waste chocolate like that. It's good.
So
You notice it's always the same corner.
You're not
too.
wrong, actually.
So you think he just has like 50 chocolate bars like in a store
Oh,
because
yeah,
he only
just
ever
pushes-
takes the
He
corner?
Does he, though?
pushes a crate around. Like, you never see him actually finish one, I don't think.
Do you think he goes
great.
back after like a year of cycling and bites the corner again?
Maybe that's Matt's job, is to eat the rest of the chocolate.
Matt's
That's why
job
he's
is
around.
chocolate eater.
That's why he's around. Okay, we've debunked it. Okay,
All right, we figured it out.
cool.
Done.
100%
It's perfect.
valid
Sorry, Matt.
canon. It's great.
I love that. I guess just sort of rewinding because Death Note divides pretty nicely into two halves. Basically,
You mean the good half and then the not good half.
Yeah, the good half where he's basically competing with L, and
That-
then the second half with Nier and Mello.
Can we just appreciate that tennis match, though?
Yes.
The best part of the anime. Like, when I saw
Oh.
that, I was like, oh my God. I knew you could think that much about anything. And then I saw Prince of Tennis and it changed my mind. But still.
I don't know, because I
Tennessee.
rewatched the show recently, like over the past few weeks, for the podcast. And when I got to the tennis episode, it made me laugh because I had
It's
forgotten how
so ridiculous. I remember watching it. I was like, I love the show, but gosh, this is just.
it's the best scene though. You're
No,
right.
It is. No, I love that scene. It was so over the top. It was ridiculous. Every curve that. Oh my God.
Because Light keeps on going like, well, basically, if I win, then it's like, he knows that Kira's the type who likes to win. So if
Over
I win, does that
tennis.
mean, that I'm Kira? But then if I lose, does it mean I'm losing on purpose because he doesn't want me? He thinks I'm trying to not prove I'm not Kira.
It's like you and I playing chess, and if you're wrong, I find out you're like, I don't know, Charles Manson or someone. I'm like, you're actually a murderer, Alex, because I beat you at chess.
Yeah.
Either way, I liked it. It was great. I loved Elle. Like, I love their interaction is the best part of the show. That's why I loved it. When they get handcuffed to each other.
Yeah.
That is
Are
a
you just
great
jealous
comedic.
because I have cake and you don't?
Yeah.
That set up for the best sitcom ever.
It really
Ellen
was.
Light. Ba, 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 ba.
It was.
It's like Jakar and Londo.
That
I
is-
want that to be a show. If anyone's watched Babylon 5, you know the interactions between Jakar and Londo. And at
gonna
one
find
point,
this.
they get stuck in an elevator, and it's gorgeous.
Londo and me.
Like Jakar's like, oh, you're just going to die in here, and I don't have to do anything.
The laugh, though. We're gonna find this. It's real somewhere. If not, we're gonna make it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, well, that was something I was thinking about, like, as far as like why the first half and the second half are like, why the first half is so much better. I think part of it is just that in the first half
L.
of the show, well, L just in general, but they, it doesn't take too long before L like physically like tells like meets Light and is like, I want to tell you that I'm L, and they like talk, and are physically like together, like having these little mind games back and forth, whereas with Nier and Mello, like it's always a thing from like a distance, they're always just sort of like talking to each other, doing their schemes or whatever, but they never get like the to the level that L and Light
It's
did.
not more intimate.
Right.
Nier was just untouchable the whole time.
Right. Well, and he's sort of not in that, like, in the end, Nier and Mello both were needed, to beat Light because Nier sort of lacked some of the, the risk-takingness that Mello, and, that
You could
Ellen
say he was
Light
more mellow
had.
than the other guy. But the other guy got more near. That was bad. Come back to me later.
This is the part where I stabbed
least-
Kenny to death with my pen.
At least they shed light on who
that.
Kira was. Hey! Blood has been drawn this day. You heard it, folks. Arrest him. Get your death notes.
But
That's right.
Matsuda, though.
Remember when you accused me of having a death note on the Fooly Cooly podcast?
You did. It was Black Book. Me and Matt were convinced. We thought we were going to die.
Throwback to the special episode on Fooly Cooly freshman year. Go listen to that.
Evangelion.
You're saying you really liked
But Matsuda.
Matsuda.
He is my favorite everything, and he's a precious baby.
I will say the rest of the members of the task force are honestly kind of forgettable. Like Matsuda stands out in my mind because he actually like did things and stood out as like a human being.
That and Light's dad. He was like, "Oh, you're not Kira," and he's like, "Dad, I am." And he's like, "I didn't hear that, guys."
Ooh, what you say?
But
I don't know. I like the dad. He's
like,
very.
I just felt terrible for him because
Well,
the
yeah.
whole time, Light, like, as his father's dying, he's like, "What's his name? What was the guy's name?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're not Kira," and then dies. And he's like, "Dad, you
But
were
I am."
actually worthless." I'm like, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Dude,
pretty
father.
early on, I think he says like, if things go bad, like with Elle, I might have to kill my whole family. Like he's not afraid to dispose of some loved ones if he has to.
He's actually the worst.
Yeah.
And then doesn't his sister get kidnapped at one point?
Yeah. Which is one thing I will say. Like, although
Satsuki.
I wasn't a huge fan of, it's actually Sayu.
Sayu.
I know that because I watched it recently. Although I wasn't
I
a
got
huge,
the Saw part right.
although I wasn't a huge fan of Mello,
It's been 6 years.
his original plan was actually like pretty damn smart. Because he like both Nier and like get fooled by him. With this whole plan, like he kidnaps like the president of the Japanese police, and then the president of the world,
Obviously.
and then Sayu, and has them like deliver the death note, and then he like flies it off on a missile over to some other part of the country or whatever. So. His plan actually is pretty effective, it's only because Light is able to use Misa's eyes, to figure out, like, look through, like, a list of criminals, like, who amongst them was using the Death Note, like, that he was able to determine, like, where their location was and all this sort of stuff,
Probably my favorite part was when I think Ryuk took it and just, like, threw the book at someone so they could actually see him. I think it was actually Light's dad at that point. I don't remember when it was, but I think it was during the second half of it, after Rem had already been disintegrated. But
Actually, it wasn't that, but there was
there's a
what
part
was
where
his
he
name?
like picked it up and threw it at someone, and they were like, "Oh my god!"
That wasn't, you're right, but that wasn't Ryuk. That was Sido, the one who was with Mello.
Right,
The really one
right.
was like, Ryuk, you stole my Death Note.
Oh yeah, that
I want
one.
it back.
Yeah,
Why
that
would you do
one.
that?
I know, but at one point someone threw it, and I thought it was really funny because everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
He's like,
At
yeah,
least
we
someone finally
exist.
did it.
Yeah, Mello gets like a pretty like holy crap face when that happens.
Yep.
And I don't know who voices Sido, but he has like the most annoying like little weaky voice in the world. It's pretty great.
You talk about Jeff now.
That's more like a Gollum voice.
That's good to note.
Good to note. Note.
Hey, LMAO. Sorry.
I'm gonna go slit my wrists. But
No, that's bad.
yeah, no, I like Matsuda, and obviously he has a huge redemption moment at the end of the
Baby.
series.
How big?
It broke
Pretty
him
big.
so much.
Was it like astronomical?
I'd say so. I mean,
believe it.
Baby.
Of course, the person you would least expect, to turn on Light, the one who was like his closest, like the guy who throughout the whole series did sort of say like Kira is doing some things, I could see why some people like Kira.
Yeah.
And
which
he was like, Light, you're my BFF. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. And then he's like, hey, I'm Kira. And he's like, you broke my heart.
Ooh, what you
Right.
say?
It was a very much, ooh, what you say moment. And then he's like, I can't believe it.
Yeah,
I can't believe it was you. And he was just crying and just shooting him. And it was so sad.
Like 30 times.
It was
Yeah.
great.
That
he
was- it
deserved,
got me.
he deserved all of them.
Well, and in the anime, in the manga, like Ryuk just kills him in the warehouse. In the anime, they change it to where Light like runs off
And then
for a
gets
little
shot
while.
like 30 times.
No, he doesn't get shot. He just basically runs off and like dies from blood loss and like sees a phantom of L, at one
Yeah.
point. But it's like he got shot like 5 times, and yet he still goes off and runs for like 100 yards.
He Rasputin'd it. That's all.
I guess.
Nothing can kill you until you die.
And he's not supposed. Well, I guess he has actually. Despite the fact that he's a giant nerd, he's actually very
Whoa.
physically fit.
Whoa.
I mean,
Just because you're a giant nerd doesn't mean you can't physically fit, Alex.
you know what I mean. He's super smart, so you might expect him to be like, Lelouch from Code Geass, can't run worth crap. But then he's
put his
able
mind to it,
to play against L, and they're both apparently like tennis champions.
And they can think real hard about playing tennis.
Of course.
Probably my
cerebral
favorite thing, though,
masters.
is when Elle was like, yeah, I'm going to use the name of a supermodel. So screw
yes.
you, Kira. And he's like, you're the worst.
Ryuzaki.
He's like, you're actually the worst.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
Well, I think we'd be remiss not to talk about one of the best scenes in the show where Light says, "I'll take a potato chip and eat it."
No, the first time I saw it, I'm like, is this show real? Like, I had to pause it. I'm like, is this actually happening? When I was like 13 at the time. And I was like, this isn't right. I kept watching because I laughed really. My friend and I quoted that. I mean, to this day, everybody does. But
Yeah.
that was like a week-long thing. I'm like, hey man, want a potato chip? We start laughing.
What I never understood is how he got the little TV in the potato chip bag when it was sealed until they got back to his room.
That's a good point, actually.
He's a genius.
Like, did
Maybe it
he,
wasn't-
like, maybe open it before he got home and then, like, tape it shut again? I don't understand.
must
They've had
have.
adhesive. He
But
sealed their fate.
he opened it. I don't get it.
Well, I think you're right. Like, he must have somehow resealed it, basically.
Is he a wizard now? Is this what
Yeah.
happens when you get a Death Note? You get wizard powers?
pretty
of
much.
resealing things?
Have you forgotten the part where you talked about how he basically had the foresight of a god and like figured out like all these things were going to happen after he erased his memories? He's pretty
I mean,
genius.
yeah, it's chipping away at me. Getting salty.
Shipping away, really?
Hey, I gotta do something over here, all right?
You've already made like 3 puns. You can stop now.
You cannot
Make-
stop.
You need to make more.
But I don't know. See, the part that just makes it like just the visuals of it, of course, are ridiculous. But what really drives it over the top is the music, because Death Note has one of my favorite anime scores ever. Probably like the epic choirs are
I
so
love the opening of
are
Death
so
Note.
good.
Is it better than Gurren Lagann?
As far as score goes,
Yes.
I don't know. That's tough because they're both really good.
Better than Dragon Ball Z's like electric guitars
Yes.
the entire time. I'd like to contest that.
All right. Well, you can contest it some
I
other
like
time.
electric guitars.
Electric guitar. Is that why you like Dragon Force?
Yes! Perfect. Man,
Well, if Dragon Force did Dragon Ball Z, that would be awesome.
what if they re-sing the Dragon song?
Yeah.
You remember that one? That was great.
Oh no, I remember. The opening is great.
It
I'll
was
give
like
you
5
that.
minutes long. I loved it. Anyway, yeah, but sorry. Death Note has a really good soundtrack. You're right.
Yes, and you were bringing up the opening. Personally, I like the first
I
opening.
like the first one, though, and the second one kind of scared me, and I would always skip it.
The second one, I mean, I love the visuals. You know, it's really crazy. But and some people I know like love it a lot, like more than the first one. But I'm just not a big like metal fan, so I just can't like picture the show about that. It mostly involves people like sitting there thinking and talking, with some sort of heavy metal, crazy like screamo thing. I don't know.
Like, a lot of people I remember when I was watching it, they had this huge controversy about what the actual second opening was saying.
Right.
And I was like, oh, actually, the word for person in Japan is ningen, and that's what they were saying, but that's not what people thought they were saying, and it was a little weird.
That's right. By the way, you need to do your new Clara teaches the audience Japanese. Remember?
Is that a new thing?
We established that last podcast.
Okay, so I'll teach you a fun fact about Japan, and that all the colors except for green are adjectives. Green is a noun, and it is midori.
That's so cool.
That is your fun tip for the day.
That makes a lot of sense because there's this great anime called Midori Days, and the main character has green hair.
Yeah,
So
but all the other colors are adjectives but green. This is the language I'm deciding to learn.
Green's my favorite color.
Woo!
That and like some people might remember this from any anime you've ever watched ever when people just shout urusai at someone. Urusai means annoying. It is an adjective.
Yeah.
So it'd be like me going to someone going annoying and they would get the idea. But that's pretty much what it is in Japan, and I
That's
think
beautiful.
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, no. If you watch Toradora, you hear that one a lot. I remember Taiga says that particular line quite often.
Yep.
But I guess, we might as well, talk about the L's death, basically, like those last
He
I thought we
dies?
skipped that.
things. I know, right? Well, you want to skip it because it made you cry so bad.
I cried and ate sugar cubes.
How does he die again?
Rem kills him, basically, because Rem knew that they were going to catch Misa, like, because Misa was the Kira again, had made the ideal,
Yeah.
so he knew that they were going to catch her, so the only way to stop that was for L to be killed, basically.
People die when
Why
they're
Rem?
killed.
What?
People die when they're killed.
Oh, yes,
But no,
Fate's
that
Day
was-
Night.
I was-
Ba-da-ba.
I was sad and I was angry because Rem did it for Misa because she loved her and Light's like and took it all for himself, and I hate him. And Misa,
So you seem to like Rem quite a bit because you
I
mentioned
love
her
her.
a few
She's
times.
so great. She only does it because she cares so much. And she was like, Light, you touch Misa. You do anything to her and I will end your life. And he's like, come at me, 1v1 me, scrub.
She was the nicest Shinigami.
Yeah.
She was the greatest. Oh my, she just, and the one Shinigami who's in love with Misa, she would just watch him every day and then took the death
Yeah, I
note and
suppose
gave it to her.
Miso is kind of lucky because Rem would like do anything that she asked, whereas Ryuk is basically just like, yeah, no, I'm just here for the lulls. I'm not going to
really
help
is,
you in
and it's
any way.
He eats apples though.
Yeah, his Apple like obsession is pretty funny. Like the one time when they install cameras in his house and he can't like get his apples, he's just like bent over like sideways, like I need my apples.
He's going through withdrawal.
Yeah, how about damn
Basically.
apples? Am I right?
Damn apples.
He could just steal apples, couldn't he?
Well, I guess, but
That's rude. You're right.
And it is a thing where, like, if you just see an apple get picked up by an invisible hand, you're probably going to freak out.
They're probably like, hold, criminal scum. Hold, obviously.
Okay, no, that's
course.
Adam. That is Adam's Bolivian character.
This is
Not
the
right
greatest.
now. But no, that was probably one of my favorite
know.
parts where he's like, you can eat this now.
And since you are the master of ships over here,
Ship,
Clara,
ship,
what do you
ship,
think
ship,
of the
ship.
people who ship L and Light? Because I know that is, like, everywhere over the internet, and I've personally never bought into it.
I've never heard it before.
Okay, when Death Note was out the time, that was before I was more open-minded than I am now, where my friends were trying to shove yaoi down my face, and I was like, how about we don't? But now I'm just like, but anyways, I never really shipped it. My favorite ship was probably Matsuda Misa because he would actually treat her like a princess. But she was like, "Oh, Matsuda, you're so nice."
But
Light,
Misa has no
light.
eyes for anyone except Light.
I know, and that's why it hurts so much. I'm like, why don't you see this beautiful prince in front of you and not this gigantic like douche nugget?
This beautiful stallion.
Yes, this majestic stallion, Jean over here. No,
He
but,
is though. All man can
I
ship
love
them.
him so much.
Well, who's Jean?
Yeah, Jean's the best.
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't he though?
Attack on Titan.
Oh,
Just a question. What is all this stuff I'm seeing on the internet with John with like a horse head?
Because people keep saying that John's got a really long face like a horse. It's been a running gag for a long time now.
And if you heard
So
his-
John is a majestic stallion.
He is a Oh, that's why they say that.
I guess.
No, John has been called horse face before. I think Aaron actually calls him a horse face once.
Oh, really?
I mean, that if you heard his voice, it's a bit hoarse.
Oh, but
I see what you did there.
I didn't.
hey Marco. But
But
anyways,
I don't know. See, I saw somebody write this like pretty long like essay about Elle, and I actually like agree with it, especially on rewatching the show because everyone like Elle is like the character everyone talks about from Death Note. Like so many people's like on their like favorite anime characters list and all that, and people
cute.
shipping him and saying he's cute and everything.
pretty cute.
But in
Easiest
reality,
cosplay in the universe though.
yeah. But what in reality though, he is like pretty damn messed up. Like he doesn't have any morality. He isn't doing any of this because it's justice, despite how he talks about that.
He's doing it for raisins. Do you need more reasons than that?
He's doing it for sugar, actually.
He's basically just doing it because it alleviates his boredom. He says at one point, like, I only take cases, that interest me. Like, that's pretty much the only reason he solves crimes is because, like, nothing else, got his mind working, his super genius wheels turning,
But I mean, like, I don't know. Like, at the time, I didn't think much of it, and it's been such a long time that I can see how that would be an issue. But at the time, I was like, he's adorable. So I didn't really care. Haha, fangirl heart.
Yes.
I was such a weeb.
Let's see. Well, have you seen, because I didn't know about this, but there are two actually like sort of recap movies made from the anime. They're called Death Note Relight, and they are mostly recap, but they do change some things and add some new scenes. Like there's actually one of Light at L's grave, and he like basically brags over his grave, like, I won, L, blah, blah, blah.
You special.
Doing his Light thing.
You ignored as a child?
But there's a great scene with in Nier's like backstory where like Nier, Mello, and all the kids are gathered around a TV like that L is talking them to, and he has this whole quote like thing about like things that someone asks him like, does anything scare you? And he's like, oh, monsters scare me. And he goes on about like there are all sorts of monsters who cause trouble, monsters who dump children, monsters who lie. And he goes about this whole thing about how lying monsters are the worst. And he's like, if I were to encounter such monsters, I would likely be eaten by them because in truth, I am that monster.
Boom.
So, so you can look it up. It's actually a pretty great quote.
Dude, can I point out something though?
Yeah.
His evil laugh is something else.
Light?
Yeah.
Lights? Oh, yeah. No, his is one of the best.
I actually lost it. That I could not.
I totally didn't read it off your sheet or anything. I just saw that. But yeah, no, his laugh is good though.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I've shown it to you. I know I showed it to Jeremy, but there's a video of like his laugh in like all the different dubs, like in all the languages.
Is it like, ah?
Well, sort
Over
of.
and over?
Yeah, but, well, it's the one from the last episode, so
Yeah,
it's like
no.
a good, like, 20-second laugh. And it's cool seeing it in other languages, like the Korean one in particular is, like, really
Terrifying.
high-pitched and, like psycho, like he's that axe murderer.
You gotta go ham on it when you do.
Oh, yeah, totally ham. Oh, one thing, good transition off the laugh thing. I will say the dub for this show is really, really
Yeah, I only
good.
watched the dub. I didn't see the sub.
It's by someone, I don't know the studio, but it's a like Canadian, actually, like a Canadian
Is it Studio Canada?
It's,
Or is
no.
it a studio?
No
Studio
fish
eh.
out by the point.
No, sorry.
No fish by the point.
But they all do
Have
a
you
really
seen Neil?
a great job, given how much talking there is in Death Note. They managed to make it like
It worked really well.
Compelling.
The voice actors were, I mean, I always enjoyed it. I never saw any problem with it. Mind you, I was young and naive, but still.
yeah.
Right.
You
I
know.
only saw the No, I watched. This was all on YouTube when anime was actually still on YouTube and not taken down every 5
Back
seconds.
in the good days.
The good days.
I watched the dub up until around when L died. That was when I went into subtitles and I watched the rest of it from there because that's all they had. So I was like, okay, cool. And that's when I realized subtitles are better. So
Well, I don't know. I actually
Subtitle master is.
in general, let me put it this way. If a dub is like actually like not bad, I usually prefer the dub.
Ew.
You
so
know,
you just think about it, like, the guy in One Piece, the Kabuki guy in CP9?
right?
Imagine hearing that in English. Imagine how silly that sounds.
Right. Well, but it's sort of a thing where it sounds silly in Japanese. We just don't hear it as silly as English
but
because
that's
we
my
don't speak.
preference.
Well, I think the original language
Japanese.
something's made in, you should hear it because that's how it was intended to be
Right.
heard.
True, but like
And so much is lost in translation.
Yeah.
true, but then you do have dubs that are better than the Japanese, like Cowboy Bebop, for
Dragon Ball Z.
example. You know, like honestly, not necessarily like quality wise, yeah, but it's just sort of a thing where it's like I'm just so used to
Well,
hearing
I
it
grew up to it.
that way, you know. And I've actually watched a little bit of DBZ subbed, and it sounds like really like high pitched, and I hate it honestly. You know, I
You'll
like
get
the
that nice
dub a
Nappa
lot more.
voice.
Nappa, Vagina.
I can only.
Are we there yet?
Okay, so like to Dark Knight, I cannot actually watch Dragon Ball Z without quoting Dragon Ball Z abridged at every
Yes.
moment. Like, because I was watching it at one point and I was like, Vegeta, are we there yet? And oh my god, the people who I was watching with were going to punch me.
I don't know. Because personally, at least for me, I'm sort of the type where, like, usually if I watch something subbed first, you know, and I like the sub a lot, you know, sometimes I can watch the dub and still end up liking the dub more.
Claude.
Like, well, I watched Claude all the way through dubbed. And see, I can do that. I can go from sub to dub, you know, and make that jump usually. And if the dub is that much better, enjoy it more. Like, I think that's true with Steins Gate, where I love the show subbed, but I think the dub is even better than the sub.
See, Clara, he's between us. We can kill him now and leave.
But
yeah, we could.
but like with Claude, for example,
3,
like
2, 1.
I'm so used to hearing the dub. When I hear the sub, it's not bad, but I just prefer the dub because that's what I'm used to, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
You're wrong.
like listening, like you would never want to watch Pokemon, you know, subbed. You're just so used to
What
those
if I do?
voices. Well, do you?
I don't know. I mean, you're right. It's something we grew up with again as kids.
Or at
so we're a
least
lot more used
with
to it.
at least classic Pokemon. I've heard some of
Yeah.
the English voices now, and they're like,
Well, I mean, the newer
"Eh."
stuff I feel like could be better subbed. Just because I'm older, I like subs better now. I prefer it.
I saw the new, like the newer version of the Team Rocket, like their slogo
Yeah.
or
Slogo. Oh, their
not
their
slogo.
song
Their-
thing?
yeah, the motto.
The slogo. I like that better though. Is that the official term now?
Slogo.
We're coining slogo, everyone.
But yeah, their motto, and it's like not nearly as good. I'm
no,
like,
the original
"Aw."
one's still the best. But see,
Yeah.
one thing I can never watch. I mean, sorry, just divert for a second. One Piece just not good dubbed. I don't like it that much.
It's not. It's a good dub, but the sub is
Okay,
better.
I admit it's just better. That I can admit in that case. I'll watch it, but just Sanji's voice kills the man.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Like, you know, there's certain cases like, you know, I don't know. I watched Angel Beats subbed first and then watched the dub, and I enjoyed the dub. I do think the sub is better, you know, and both the dub of Madoka is pretty good. I think I still prefer the sub, you know, but
Yes,
I still enjoy listening to the dub.
I mean, either
you
way,
know.
going back to like Death Note though, I only seen it dubbed. I've never seen it subbed, so that's what I'm used
Yeah.
to. And I thought their voices were pretty spot on.
Exactly, you
So,
know, like Kids on the Slope is what I will say. I've heard a bit of it dubbed, and I kind of hate it.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't
Because
trust that one.
what's his name?
You mean the anime that should have been a yaoi?
Because
It was dang close.
It was so close.
They wanted it.
because Akio voices the main like tough guy, and I hate it.
You can
I can't
only
unhear
hear
it.
Akio. You
Exactly.
can never get
Well,
away from it.
And it's not just that his voice, like it's literally not any different, like pitch wise from his Akio voice. It sounds exactly the same. So I
That's-
can't.
No, that's how it was when I was watching High School of the Dead. I was like, you are Akio and you're supposed to be this serious military guy, and I just can only see Akio.
Him with like
They
his
have
rapper
like the
glasses.
cowlick and everything, and I was like, stop.
Stop.
And then the mom was Kyo, and I was like, this is weird.
Oh, and something worth mentioning, you know, you brought up Attack on Titan earlier. The guy who directed Attack on Titan, Tetsuo Araki, also directed Death Note. This is what put him on the map.
That's when my friend
sort of.
got in like the conversation about the alternate ending. We were watching Attack on Titan. He's like, you know, the guy who did Death Note did this, and here's the alternate ending. And I was like, well, you're lying to me. This isn't really real.
Well, you can see it too because he really likes red, like the color red, and you see it all in Attack on Titan. Like
Yeah,
you
the
know,
scarf.
in you got that, and in what do you want to call it? In Death Note, you know, whenever like they go into like the thinking stuff, like inside their minds, you know, they change colors. So
Yeah.
like light is red, you know, L is blue.
Yeah.
Matsuda is yellow, which I always think he goes Super Saiyan when they do that.
I think it's why is it always red versus blue? Why are we even here?
No, Red versus it's everywhere. There's Hot and Cold, Target, Walmart.
Yeah.
There you go.
Why are we even here?
I know, mate.
Red
You know,
versus Blue,
why are we even here?
Halo.
I know. It's like Rooster Teeth and
That's what I'm
Ruby.
saying. The first episode. Why are we even here, man?
Why are we here?
But still, yeah,
YouTube, Google.
Indeed.
couldn't have been me.
Thank you, Kenny. So, you know, L dies. We get on the second half of the
Spoilers.
show. Yeah, we got Mello and Nier going on. And sort of like Claire said, I do sort of agree, like, you know, it seems like the issue with Nier is that, like, he just doesn't,
He's too far off.
well, there's that, like, yeah, like how I mentioned earlier, the whole, like, lack of the physical connection thing. But it's also just, like, he doesn't seem to,
Care.
he doesn't seem to like overcome things as much as L had to. Like L actually had to like
That's because L fought for it. He was there on the ground.
Well, that too, but he actually had to make deductions. Like he was working from like nothing.
Yeah,
you know,
he did
and
himself, but Nier had all the stuff given to him. So
Yeah.
I mean, he did have an advantage over it. So he used like L's stuff.
and he didn't have. To be
build
fair, he
on.
didn't have all the stuff. But
I know,
he had
he had
a
more than
lot
what
of
L
it.
did.
Yeah, you know. So he began with a pretty much one of those like 5%. Things,
Yes,
but by
it's-
5%, I mean 100% that you are Kira.
Because I know
Light.
it's about to prove it still. Give me like half a season.
Like I feel like at a certain point watching the first season, like L only continues going after Light because he has no other suspects.
Yeah, at that point, he's like, why not? This is fun. We
he
play
just
tennis.
doesn't want to be wrong,
But he's not wrong.
He's not.
Well, of course he's not wrong, but it's basically just his intuition, at a certain point.
They should remake Death Note just from L's point of view so we can see how frustrating it is to be like, we don't have any suspects. Let's look at this high school kid.
Yeah, well, basically the reason he starts going after
Wait,
Light is because he
high
looks.
school or college?
He's high school in the first half. He's college in
Oh
the
my
second
god,
half.
he looks like he's 24. But oh well.
Or he might actually think he's out of college by the second half because it's like 5 years later. So
He might have been in university then.
yeah, actually, yeah. In the first half, he goes to like college, and that's where he meets L
Right.
because he's graduated.
Right.
Yeah, that's what bothered me. Light was a lot younger than I thought he was. He looked like a grown man of like 25.
I'd say he looks older than his age. He
Is he
doesn't
like-
look
he's 18,
25
right?
in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
But later on, he's like, 25.
I mean, at least I can accept his age over some other people. In anime.
like Yoko.
Don't want to talk about that. That's so 14. Sorry. Okay. I love you so much. All right.
This is the part where we have an existential crisis.
At least he was close, though. I mean, he was just starting college. That's right. So it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as favorite moments in the show go, one of mine has to be when Light gets the Death Note again, like after the whole like memory arc, and he's just holding it and just starts screaming as like all the memories are like flooding in, and he I think L says something. He's like, "Oh, I got to check these names," and he's like, "Okay," and it pans over to Light, and he's got this evil grin. His light eyes are red. He's like, "I won exactly as planned."
Yeah, that's right. I do remember
he
that.
plans everything, and it's stupid how much he does. It's like, honestly, he's put every possible outcome and just made all these backups. And of course, he can never lose because he's perfect and so smart. And
I know.
and you killed Rem.
Well, and to be fair, although I think what he does there is actually like, obviously it's foresight of a god, sort of thing, like I was saying, but it's not totally impossible because basically what he's like is, I'm going to make myself lose my memories while we're in captivity, to force L will eventually have to let me go and he will want to keep me close. So I will be with the task force, and Rem, you're going to give this to some rich businessman guy, who's going to use it to get money. We're going to track down that person. And when we catch him, and I'm going to get my hands on the Death Note. And, that was basically his basic plan. Like a lot of other things happened in between, that he couldn't have planned for, like the Misa thing.
Sherlock could have done it. Great show. You should watch it.
You're just going to keep fucking Sherlock.
Yeah, I am.
But that was like a Mickey Mouse laugh.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, there was somewhere you could hide.
Beat me to it.
Yeah.
But anyways.
So yeah, and then because I will say, as much as like I'm sort of the opinion where the first half of Death Note, great, like all the stuff with L, then L dies, we get Nier and Mello, and I don't think the Nier and Mello stuff is bad. Like it's still an entertaining show, but it definitely drops in quality. It goes from being great to just being sort of good
Because like
to
we've
mediocre.
been with L from the beginning. It's like, oh, we've seen him just try and debunk and debunk and debunk and try to figure out if this punk kid over here really is Kira. And then Nier comes in, he's like, yeah, I'm pretty good at everything I do always, and I'm untouchable.
Right.
And I'm also like 4.
Yeah, but I do like the fact that though that the writer had the guts basically to kill L. Kill.
How old was Nier? Like 14? How old was he?
He was. He might have been 14, like around the first half of the show, like around the time L died. But then it's like 5 years later, so I guess he'd be like 19.
Still,
then.
he's this punk kid who's like, oh, I know everything. I'm gonna play with my hair always.
Yeah.
Look at my trains.
I know. I suppose like compared to L, like Nier is quirky, but not in like the cute or funny way.
It's in the
quite.
please grow up, you're not L. He's trying so hard to be L, and he's not.
Right. Well,
trying so hard.
And the writers, I guess, were just trying to make him equal to L.
You
know.
can't. You can't.
And they kind of couldn't. Yeah.
That's like trying to like make someone like dress someone up as Sherlock and say he's Sherlock when it's not Sherlock.
Great show. Watch it. Somebody does. Spoilers. Continue.
All right. But my point is basically, I I still watched the second half. Like, I remember reading that in the manga, and like I still read it through it all in like a week. I was still enjoying that. It definitely decreased in quality, but I actually really do like the ending of the show because it ramps up. We have this complicated plot.
It ties together. Like, there are actually no loose ends.
Yeah, so it's like I could see, like, I think the writer knew like how he wanted to end it. He wanted Elle to die, and he wanted like us to build to this point. Where this convoluted thing with all the death notes is going on, and there are fake death notes going around, and whatever. And we get to this point, and Elle is defeated, or Light is defeated, and goes through his fall from grace, into patheticness, and it's great to watch.
The other ending's even better, though.
Fine, what is this other ending that you keep talking about?
Light flies off into the stratosphere and just becomes a god.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. No, okay. So what the alternate ending is, the one I like, is that Light, he wins in the end. I can't remember. There's more of a description. This is just a very basic thing. He wins at the end, and he's like, cool. And it comes to him, and it's only in manga form. Somebody drew it out. And again, this is something that says, like, they can't confirm whether it's real or not. So it's like up to you if you want to take it as an alternate ending. I do because it's neat. So you see L's an old dude, just kind of writing other names to the death note.
What do you mean? Light, not L.
What did I say?
You said L.
What was L now? No, okay, you see Light, excuse me, as an old dude with
Ryuk.
I always forget his name. With Ryuk. And he's just writing his death note, writing more criminals down. And finally he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to write my name now. Pretty much done killing people. And Ryuk's like, KK lols. So he kills himself, and then he wakes up in the plane of the Shinigami, because you can't go to heaven or hell. He's there. So then he sits there, and then like a few seconds later, a name shoots out. The first name he writes the death note says heart attack, and then he dies of a heart attack. And then 45 seconds later, he gets back up, and then the other name comes up, and then he has to die all 120,000 people he killed. He has to go through all their lives and every death they've done in the realm of the Shinigami. And he's like, Ryuk, what's happening? He's like, well, every person you killed, you have to pay penance for that. So you got a long time here. There's 45 seconds between each death. So Light's like, well, I guess I have time to make it to the Shinigami King and make a deal then. So it shows him walking off the distance as he's taking all these deaths. So, he has to live through all those. He's going to see if he can make a deal.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, but at the same time,
It's stretching it.
It is a little
but
because literally there's been no other instance of a human doing that. So it's like, hey guys, here's this really cool idea.
Yeah.
But he's Light. He can go everywhere.
I will say, I was reading something cool with these Relight movies that I was talking about. Apparently the first one, the premise for it is basically this one Shinigami is talking to Ryuk, I want to know more about the human world. He's like, oh, well, let me tell you a story. He tells him the story of... and he tells him the story of Light, and the first movie apparently ends right around the time L dies. And so he's telling the story to that Shinigami. He's like, well, you should go down, and see for yourself, about the human world. And so apparently that Shinigami goes in the human world, and Ryuk has a very cryptic line at the end, he says, go ahead, why not? Maybe you'll meet an incredible guy you'll remember for the rest of your life. Wouldn't you agree, Light? So there's apparently this is an anime recap movie, so it's not really canon because canon comes from the manga since it's the original source material. Right. However, there's a lot of people who speculate that Shinigami that he was talking to is basically Light, somehow reborn as a Shinigami, I guess.
I saw the second live action Death Note movie, and in the end, what was the name of L's butler? Watari. Okay, no. At one point, spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it was 5 years ago, so not my
Past
problem.
the point.
At one point, Misa's in the elevator with him. It's near the end, and he dies.
Near the end?
I was going to say that.
All right, I'm gone. Bye forever. Anyways, so he's leading Misa to L's room, and Light had written his name down in the Death Note, and he also wrote L's name down because he found that out because of Misa or something. And so then Watari falls over, and she's like, "Oh no, he's dead!" And I lost it. I was like, "No, you didn't have to die." And I was so sad because it was actually just an unnecessary casualty that didn't have to happen. But then Light runs up and he's like, L, you're gonna die. And he's like, oh, really? And then he doesn't die. And he's like, what are you doing? Well, how didn't you die? He's like, I already wrote my own name down. I'll die in 2 days. And he's like, It's like, yeah, you're Kira, so bye. And so he gets arrested and all that stuff happens. And then Misa kills herself in the end, but we don't see it. We just see her standing on the side of a building. But so then L ends up dying a couple days later, just in pretty much just by himself on his little couch eating a chocolate bar. You just see his hand fall, and then he pretty much beats Light by killing himself. And I was like, all right, that happens. So
interesting.
That was a movie.
So basically just presumed that Light was going to come and gloat to him and reveal the truth, before he actually died, sort of thing. I don't know. That's kind of clever. I don't know. I'll look up the thing you're talking about after this, Kenny. It definitely sounds like a
Yeah, I
fan.
found it, so it is there. It sounds more fan made, but I like it.
I do like it too. Although there is something that Ryuk says in like the first episode that any human who has a Shinigami or picks up a death note, is doomed to like a cruel fate, and like I'm going to be the one to write your name down when your time comes.
I mean, he does mention a thing. He does write the name of the book for him. So
oh, he does.
That's what I meant to say. He's like, I want to be written down. Then he does it for him.
Okay.
And then he watches him die that time. He's like, I'm going to talk to the king. He's like, why not?
Yeah.
Like 100. They said I think the final kill count was 120,000 people. I
see.
But he lived his entire life doing it.
One thing I do love about the ending is a guy we haven't talked about much, Mikami. The new Kira, the black-haired guy.
Okay, no, I don't like him.
Really?
At all.
I don't know how we feel about it just as a character, but when he does his little delete, his delete like madness, as he's writing down all the names there in like that last episode, that is such an overblown scene, but I love it. The music is going all orchestra choir. It's great.
The thing though is that he's literally, his purpose was to just be a useless pawn. And that's all he was. He got a death note, he wrote names down, and then he stabbed himself with a pen. Cool. I don't get why. Okay, one of my friends loved him, and I did not understand it. I do not like him as a character.
Maybe.
He did his job, but he got caught real easily. He honestly pretty much just gave himself in, and I was like, all right,
well, no,
bye.
he didn't get caught easily. It was like he
wasn't being sneaky. He's like, I'm going to talk to myself, and they're going to decipher my lips. And I'm like, cool, good job, Baka.
What you're forgetting though is that was part of the whole plan. Basically, like he was doing all these things and being really obvious about it to like prove the fact that he had the notebook, but it was actually a fake. Because Takeda was the one writing down all the names. The thing I really love about the ending of Death Note is that Light becomes like within a millimeter of winning. If one thing had gone his way, he would have won basically.
So at least they showed they had the potential to do so, but
exactly. Basically, the tragic flaw or the thing that ruins his plans is, that Mikami, when Takeda got arrested or got kidnapped by Mello, and what's his name? Mikami got the call from Takeda, like, hey, I've killed Mello. You got to start writing down these names that we talked about. He thinks like, oh, well, I have to kill Takeda now because my master, the real Kira, can't move because he's being is under surveillance or whatever. So, he goes and gets the real Death Note and writes the name down and kills Takeda. But when in reality, Light actually wrote down Takeda's name, in his little watch thingy. So that little bit of miscommunication is what allowed Nier to get to the real Death Note and not the fake, and basically win in the end of the day,
Because didn't he put it in a safe of some sort? And they're like, we're gonna take this now.
Yeah, it was in a bank deposit box.
Yeah, he was stupidly obvious about it, and that's what actually killed me.
Well, right, but I mean, literally, he only made one mistake. Everything else he did exactly to Kira's orders. He understood Kira's will so much because he was black and white, had this black and white view of morality because he was a prosecutor and had a bad childhood and all this stuff. So I don't know. He worked. He served his purpose.
And he's like, lol, I'm gonna stab myself, and I was like, do it, you won't. And then he did.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Which is another thing I think they changed from the manga. I think he killed himself in jail later on in the manga, but in the anime he just somehow slits his wrist with his handcuffs right there.
He stabbed himself with a pen.
Oh, is that
in
it?
his chest?
Even
He's
better.
Always to die.
Yeah.
Because then everyone's like, oh no, call 911. Light's like, lol, bye guys.
Yeah.
And then Matsuda's like, no, stop, bang.
Yeah, and we've already talked about it a little bit, but yeah, Light's freak out there, I think it's perfect because for me, unlike Kenny over here, although Light did have some good points going for him. At the end of the day, he had become a mass murderer of epic proportions and obviously had no feelings about anyone, no attachments to anyone. So to see him
but he killed some bad people.
Yes, but to see him die in such a pathetic state was very satisfying.
That's the way, you're God, you're untouchable, right? You can die from anything. It's just showing how mortal he still was. Right. Even though he didn't believe it.
What was the name of the one cop who's like, I'm done with all this. I'm going to do my own thing. And he had done the whole... He thought that Light and Takeda were writing notes to each other, so he put the notepad with his thumbprint on it, and I was like, "You are a clever little."
I think that's
pig,
Aizawa.
Yeah, and like he's like, bye guys, and I was really glad that. Wait, he didn't die, right?
No, he didn't.
Okay, good. I was really glad he didn't die because he had a daughter, and I was like, no,
That's not okay.
Because at one point I think Light was going to kill him, and he's like, no. And
well, he basically he refrains from killing anyone in the task force because like Nier had already basically told them all like, wasn't there evidence from the original L that the current L was Kira? He was planting like the seeds of doubt in their minds, and they start suspecting Light.
Yeah.
So.
But then his dad's like, oh, I'm so glad you're not Kira, and he's like, Dad, I am.
Yeah. Well, I think Aizawa puts in his head pretty quickly, like, that only meant that he didn't have the Death Note at that time. It didn't necessarily mean he wasn't Kira.
I know, and I'm like, Dad, stop. Dad, stop.
Yeah, seeing the dad die was really
please.
sad. And one thing we've talked about in the past with the whole relationship between the U.S. and Japan that's worth noting is how, of course, the U.S. is the first country to submit to Kira. The president gets up and basically says, like, yeah, we're not going to go after Kira anymore, because that's what we would do.
Sorry,
guys. No, I'm British.
Stepping down because British America says no.
No. We found out that Kira was British, so yeah.
So we're just going with the Brits, right? All right.
All
what about
right.
Australia? Did they fall?
Australia. Well, Australia was like a prison island like back in the day.
Well, I know, but did they fall to Kira?
Oh, no. The U.S. was the only one who like publicly submitted to Kira.
Of course there's one of you. I mean, you have a point. I mean, you've seen Ghost in the Shell, right?
A little. Well, I saw the movie. I haven't seen much of.
The U.S. was the superpower that launched a nuke to Japan because they hate everyone. So
basically,
I mean,
yeah,
Japan.
You know how it is, but so I don't know. So overall thoughts on the show, I guess. Like, where is it? Death Note is like number 17, I think, on my top 25 list. I wrote this thing up a little bit ago.
Nerd.
Thanks, man. So it's one of my favorite shows. The second half of it definitely takes it down a few notches, but the ending is really good, and all the stuff with L is great. So I still really like the show. It's one that is definitely a classic. That a lot of people still love, and that was uber popular at the time. Like really rejuvenated the anime industry. So it's a pretty important show.
7.9 out of 10.
All right, Claire's even got a rating system over here. Look
It's
at that.
It's not a B, but it's a high C+.
I see.
It's the second season, and just
Light deserved to live.
No, he did not.
He should have. We should have had a bolt deflector.
You're the one who admitted, though, that even in the second episode, he starts killing people going
you
after
can
him.
appreciate his,
Well, I will admit
how incredibly good he is when he does.
Remember-
I love villains. I like villains more than heroes. That's why I love
I've
them.
noticed.
Yeah.
Villains are great.
Yeah, well, it is
They're
something
pretty
that like when the second Kira shows up, like Misa starts killing people, like she's doing it in like a different way than Kira did, and Elle immediately takes notice and like this person isn't as noble, as the first Kira. And that's the same thing with this one-shot manga I was talking about where there's like a third Kira who shows up who's killing like old people. Nier basically calls him out like, you're nothing like, the other Kira. You're even more despicable, blah, blah, blah. So there is a certain level of, formality, yeah, to it. With Kira and his relationship to Elle and Nier and Mello and all those people. There's a certain level of respect there just because of, the idea is like that Elle and Light actually aren't too that far off from being like each other. Like if Elle was pushed just a little bit farther, he might be like Light,
It's like a Draco Malfoy Harry Potter type deal.
Exactly.
Two sides,
You're
same
right.
coin.
It's pretty smart when they do stuff like that. So overall thoughts for you, Kenny?
Well, I can never touch Dragon Ball Z. It's a pretty good anime.
Is DBZ
It
really your
the
favorite?
Yes. Well, I mean, next to like my favorite is still Evangelion. Come on.
That's what I thought.
Attack on
See.
Titan's like my 3 now. Number 2, God. Probably Gurren Lagann. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But still, it's definitely in like, it's an anime I enjoy. I don't know. I don't really have a top 10 list. I'm sure if I had a top 10, it might be in there. Who knows?
Might be in there. Who knows?
Yeah, I never really finished it, so I can't say.
All right. Well, so we want to thank you all out there for listening to this podcast.
Thank you.
Now, next week, it's kind of a big deal. We're having our 50th episode. I know, right?
That was Kazoos.
So we were talking, we have sort of 2 ideas out on the table right now. Either we do sort of like a top 10 list, like sort of how we did one last
Best
year.
moments of Shredded Cels.
Well, what I was thinking was top 10 like TV shows, like do a new version of that list, but then also talk about our favorite Shred Cells moments.
I have to be on there to defend Dragon Ball Z.
Well, we'll see about that. I'm going to fight DBZ.
You're going to make sure I'm not on there just so I can't defend it.
We'll see. I
You
mean,
weenie.
we
I'll
can
send
only-
my own emissary.
We can only have 5 people on the podcast,
I'm going to be in the window like, Dragon Ball Z, I'll freeze to death out there to defend the show, all right? I'll whisper sweet everythings to you until I get it on there.
Until I die.
I'll put you my death note and be like, Alex, death by Dragon Ball Z if you don't answer.
If you don't answer. Okay. So there's that, top 10 list. Or, a show of significance that we've talked about doing but have never gotten around to would be Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
But we'll
That's
be
my
able to
other
do that in
favorite
a
one.
week.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it would be the people who have already seen the show, which was
not
like
me, buddy.
myself, Kenny, like Matt, Jeremy have all seen it.
So you're right
The
that-
one worry with that
Bye.
is that like I don't think any of us have seen it recently, so it's
I need to
debatable.
freshen up on it, but that is my second favorite anime. I totally forgot about Cowboy Bebop.
So,
Yeah, no, that one's
so
fantastic.
Gurren Lagann
Cowboy
is number
Bebop.
3 then.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sort of leaning
Bebop.
towards the top 10 list just so that when I want to do Bebop eventually, but when we do Bebop, we're going to do Bebop right, after having watched it
Singing
recently.
jazz.
Pretty much. Well, we could do we could do Tank for the opening. Just do
How do we do the whole opening?
It'd be like the Soul Eater opening.
Except we sang it. It was great.
Exactly. There's not much to sing here, but we can just do the noises.
Sounds. Sorry.
All right. See, Kenny's already getting excited.
I like the idea.
All right. So it sounds like we're going to do the top 10 list for next week's 50th episode. So if you enjoyed this podcast, you can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter at techheadsou, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, give us good ratings and reviews. We're
Please.
AVW Media on YouTube. We're on Pinterest, Tumblr, all sorts of cool places.
Everywhere. Oh, sorry about that.
Clara's a little bit tired
I haven't packed yet. I'm so stressed.
Oh, yeah. Well, we believe in you, Clara. Believe in the me that believes in you.
Don't ever talk to me again.
Like to scratch your stairs.
No.
All right.
Gobble, gobble.
So thank you, Clara, for being on this episode, talking
No
about Death
probs,
Note.
no probs.
And thank you, Kenny, even though you almost froze to death to get over here, apparently.
Welcome.
All right.
I froze
And
too.
we will see you guys next week when we have our 50th episode.
Dragon
Ball Z forever.
Bye.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2014.